Hello and welcome to Q Sports. I'm Mudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. Coming up this morning, we're going to talk about the Gambia's improvement in the FIFA World Rankings, the latest World Ranking for the September window. As they played two World Cup qualifiers, first against Kenya, winning 3-1, and against Burundi, winning by 2-0. It has massively made our jump in the rankings so high, in the global rankings up to 8 places, and in the African rankings also 4 places up. 30th in the African continent, and in the global rankings 115th. Also, the Gambian champions, 3-time champions in a row, Real de Banjul, are going to take part in the CAF Champions League against Asfa FC of Morocco, which is going to be their continental qualifiers for the first time in a decade. The last time they played in the CAF Champions League was in 2015, and they played against Barak Young Controllers of Liberia, and we will give you updates on that. Also, in international sports, Aliou Diouf is the Gambia's sole representative at the Tokyo World Athletics Championship. He ran in the preliminaries of the 100 meters and progressed to the second round of the preliminaries, and in that heat, we will tell you how it all went for him and also get reactions from Aliou Diouf as well. We'll also be talking about the Upper Basic Schools football competition sponsored by QCell. And joining me in the studio today is my colleague, my brother from GRTS, multi-sports host, Mamadou S. Jallow. We're going to dissect about some of these things that I've mentioned. And first, it's going to be about the Gambia's improvement in the FIFA World Rankings due to the World Cup qualifiers matches that we've played in this September window. That is first against Kenya and then second against Burundi. MS Jallow, welcome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Gajaga, for the invitation. I'm honored to be here on Q Sports, one of my favorites.
Thank you very much for coming. And let's dissect and look at Gambia's last window in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. First it was against Kenya. It was a home game for Kenya. And then the second one was against Burundi. Our ranking has improved to 8 places in the global rankings and in the African rankings. Now we move up to 30th. What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, very, very good. A significant leap for us in the rankings, coming on the heels of a very good performance for the Scorpions. 2 vital wins in the World Cup qualifiers, just like you have you mentioned, against Kenya and then Burundi. But before that, also we played 2 friendly matches in June and against Equatorial Guinea and Uganda, I believe, which were a win and a draw. So all this combined together has added the point tally of the Scorpions. Remember, the FIFA ranking is there, by FIFA, and it is released usually at the end of every international break. And the fact that the Scorpions gradually finding their rhythm with the win and a draw in the test games in June, followed with 2 back-to-back wins in the World Cup qualifiers. It's important. So I believe that was what every Gambian fan, football fan, was looking for, because the fact of the matter is that qualification to the World Cup 2026 is out of reach. So what we are playing for now is to try to build the team, get that cohesion in the team, try to get the team gel, and build a formidable team going into the next competition, which will be, of course, the AFCON qualifiers. So having the team playing the way they did in the last 2 World Cup qualifiers and getting those vital results, winning emphatically against Kenya and, of course, against Burundi, definitely all that we wanted to see is how it would impact on our ranking. And we are all glad that, it's impacted very well. You can see it's a significant jump, like you said, from 128 in the world ranking to 115, that is eight places. And then from 34th in the continental ranking, that is Africa, to 38th position, which is very, very good. And we all know the importance of the ranking when it comes to national teams. There are a lot of benefit that comes along with the ranking. So my reaction is like any other Gambian football fan, it's good, and this is what we were all expecting, and this is what we were all looking forward to. So it's a significant jump in the ranking, and very good for our football.
Previously, the Gambia's experience in international qualifiers has been we are ranked among the bottom 12 teams in the continent, and then thereby it means we have to go for a playoff first, and then from that playoff then we get into the group proper. But even in that group proper, when the seedings are done, obviously we are ranked bottom. Even our first AFCON, we were in the same group as the likes of Tunisia, as the likes of Guinea, and the likes of Mali. But if you look at the teams, in terms of ranking, in terms of points, their pedigree, we are always ranked bottom. But now it appears with this trend, if it continues, we are going to be maybe outside that kind of ranking. We might even be the third seed in each group if the next draw is done, if this trend continues.
Yeah, indeed. That's where the importance of this ranking comes in. Like you said, if your ranking is not very good, it affects you when it comes to the qualifiers, when it comes to the draw, because usually the lowest ranked teams usually, have to have a long, journey to qualification, and usually it starts with the preliminaries, that is the playoffs. You talked about our previous campaigns where we have to go through the preliminaries into the group stages. So, it becomes a hectic and a long journey. And if you did not pass through, if you did not qualify from the preliminaries, you cannot go into group stages. And you can remember on 2 occasions, we were so lucky because we are very close to going out. I believe in fact, our first qualification to the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon, we came to the preliminaries. If I remember, it was against Seychelles. Was it Seychelles? Yeah. Yes. And we had to go on a penalty shootout.
Yes.
And Badem Toldo, Modi Job, had to rescue us, and save, I believe, a couple of penalties at the Independence Stadium. And with that, we made it into the group stages, and eventually we were able to qualify for our first Africa Cup of Nations. And the second one also in Ivory Coast, we went through the playoffs, and we were so close to going out against Chad.
We conceded first.
Against Chad. Despite winning our first game, the return leg, Chad, scored, and they were very close to knocking us out when who scored? I think it was Hassan Cisse scored that goal, that made us to go into the group stages again, and then qualify into the for our second Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. So that is where the importance of these rankings comes in. If you have a good ranking like how it is now, the likelihood is that if this continues, we might not get into the playoffs, so we go straight into the group stages. And probably also, like you said, in the seedings of the groupings, we could have a favorable group that would be good for us. If you start from the preliminaries, a lot of things are involved, the cost, you spend a lot of things, from the preliminaries, going to the group stages. But now if, you happen to have a bye from the playoffs into the group stages, that is good. So that is where the ranking, the importance of the FIFA ranking comes in. And other thing also is, it also helps in the transfer window. If you look at, sometimes we have our players, who find it very difficult to break into some of these leagues, the top leagues, because of the ranking of our national team. So, but if your ranking is good, sometimes it also helps you it helps you and help your players in trying to get into some of these big leagues. So it's important that we improved from the September ranking, and we hoped, like you said, it continues this way.
We can talk about the importance of the rankings, but without negating the fact that what a missed opportunity in the qualifiers for the World Cup. You already said, yeah, mathematically we're no longer there because the maximum points we can get is 16 already. The team that is in the second place in the group already has 19. Yeah. That is Gabon, and then Cote d'Ivoire obviously leading the group on 20 points. Yeah. But aside from that, when you look back, our first game against Burundi in the qualifiers, the opener, and then when we played against Ivory Coast on both legs, don't you think there are some missed chances? If we had taken our points in those games, we would have been talking about how many points we need.
Yeah, indeed. It's a missed opportunity. I think we had a very slow start in the qualifiers. We had games, winnable games that we drew on, or we either drew or we lost, and that came, haunting us. By the time we clicked into gear, already, the other two teams, that is Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and Gabon, have already, opened up, an unassailable lead. So now, whatever happens, even if we win our last two games against Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon, that is in October.
Yeah, Seychelles and Gabon.
Yes, Seychelles and Gabon. We cannot, get the required points to even get the second position and hope for a playoff slot. So it's a missed opportunity. There were games that we could have won, but unfortunately we dropped points, and here we are.
Usually, when it comes to coaches, we critiques their playing style. If they don't use a certain player, we criticize why is this player not included, and especially if the player is in form and all of that. For some reason, Jonathan McKinstry seems to have a bye since he came in. Is it because the time is too short, and basically for the first qualifiers for AFCON, we didn't manage to qualify. But again, here we are for the World Cup also, but it's virtually the same thing. We missed out on the opportunity of qualification. But have you seen an improved performance in terms of playing style, especially that attacking football, going at teams and scoring goals? Under the previous coach, under Tom Sankey, you and I and many other Gambian journalists have been critics of his style of play, even though he got us to 2 AFCON qualifiers in succession.
Yeah, indeed. Coaches always have their different, style of play. Tom came with his style and his tactics, and it worked for us because it got us to Africa Cup of Nations. Yeah, and McKinstry came. He came at a time when the team was struggling because he picked the team on the back of I believe 5
defeats in a row.
5 winless runs. So he needed he needed to come and try to build the team, try to make sure that he instilled his philosophy into them, his playing style, and the players needs to understand this. He also needs to understand the players. He also needs to know the type of players who would definitely give him what he wants. So I believe that also contributed to the slow start. We have seen improvement, like I said, 4 matches that we have played now in a row without losing. And from the performance we saw in the last 2 games in the World Cup qualifiers, you can see an improvement in a whole lot of things in the playing style of the team. When he picked the team initially, we had problems in defending. We were conceding some very, very bad goals. You saw a lot of disjointed performance in the team. Also, chances being wasted. But we've seen improvement because we've seen we played 2 games, scored 5 goals and conceded 1, which is impressive. And also, you look at the 2 matches, you look at the performance where you see a more coherent, a more team that has gelled together. You look at the transitioning, especially in some of the goals. You saw the goal that Minter scored with that tap in. You can see the the transitioning from defense to goal was so quick. This is what we wanted to see, and we saw in the last 2 games. This is what the coach said. He want to implement. He want to play an attacking brand of football. And the start wasn't good, but we saw in the last 2 games. This is what the coach said. He want to implement. He want to play an attacking brand of football. And the start wasn't good. But we saw in the last 2 games, Yeah, but we are seeing things picking up. The problem now, especially for me, I'm not so much excited for now, because with all due respect, Kenya and Burundi, these are teams that I believe, we can always beat at this present time. So it's good we won the 2 games. It has elevated our ranking, has instilled a lot of confidence back into the players and even the coach. So now I'm going to measure them in the next 2 games.
Yes.
That is especially against Gabon.
Just a quick
Yes,
one.
yeah.
We have to take a short break and then we'll be back.
Okay.
Mala leen yónnee xaalis bàyyi ko Gambia dem ba Sénégal ak Q Money Wallet looy toog di xaar dawal léegi nga ubbi Q Money account pour nga mun a door di yónnee xaalis sa xariteeg sa mbokk yi jaarale ko Orange Money Sénégal léegi pour am si lu leer mun ngaa call Q Money customer care si 133 Q Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25 Cs. Yes! Recharge $25 Cs and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 C today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're just joining us, this is Q Sports and I'm Mudu Kachika. We apologize for that technical glitch, but we'll continue. Mamadou S. Jallo is my guest for today's show. We're talking about the Gambia's improved rankings in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers of recent in September, a win against Kenya and also a win against Burundi. You were in the middle of talking about how the team has improved and in terms of performances, that attacking football of the coach.
Yeah, so like I was saying, we saw an improved performance in the last 2 games from the defending aspect, to the cohesion in the team, and from the transitional play we saw, and of course the finishing aspect of the team, because we scored 5 goals. There were games where we created some deadly chances and we squandered them. And like we said, that has now cost us, and we are all hitting ourselves. If we had won this game, we would be, thinking of going to the United States for the World Cup. Yeah, but nonetheless, with the trend, I believe there's an improvement. Now we should just wait for October, when we will have a big task, especially against Gabon, which I believe, if we can maintain the consistency we have seen in the last 2 games up against Gabon, who definitely come all out to make sure that they get the 3 points from us, because they are in second position, and put the pressure on Cote d'Ivoire, who are first in the group, then we'll be able to see exactly the type of team that we have. But looking at the materials at the disposal of Jonathan McKinstry, especially at the present time, I believe we have a good team, because most of the players are playing regularly at their clubs, which is very important, and we have seen that translate into their performance in the national team. And a lot of them are young players, and they seem to be very hungry. And we have a pool of players where it's breeding in competition for places in the national team, which is also very, very important. So let's hope the players can continue, or the team can continue in this momentum.
Well, recently, one frequent question that I keep asking, I had Ade as my guest, I had Setijan as my guest as well, to talk about this same issue when it comes to the national team. I think for Gabon, we have a bone to pick with them. can we be the spoiler against Gabon? Basically, defeat them, deny them a World Cup place, deny them even a second. Okay, of course, obviously they would have to finish ahead of us, but basically not finishing in the top spot. Yeah, because our issue with Gabon, you remember the famous blackout.
Yeah, the blackout.
If you like the floodlights failure.
Yeah, the blackout.
In the middle of the game
when we were leading 2-1. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And also you remember the Aubameyang debacle
at the airport.
At the airport. So, like you said, we have a score to settle with them, and one way we can do that is trying to beat them, deny them 3 points, which might put their qualification or at least getting that playoff spot into jeopardy, is to at least beat them. And by beating them, we must be, on top of our game. And that would require a really good performance, an improved performance compared to what we've seen against Kenya and Burundi, because Gabon is a level above those two countries. So, like I said, that is a game that personally I am waiting for, to be able to measure Jonathan McKinstry's progress. So far, so good.
And so unfortunate, the game is not going to be played at the Independence Stadium. We would have loved to be there in our numbers. But
yeah,
can you imagine?
Yeah,
you had this golden opportunity against Gabon. Yeah, we're not saying that. Okay, maybe it's going to be an evening game. The floodlights are on, and all of a sudden, we also deliberately try to switch off the lights somehow, especially when they have the momentum. But it could be like kind of a hostile
environment
for them.
Support
for our own players and team.
Yeah, indeed. It would be amazing if we were to host Gabon at the Independence Stadium in that game. I believe during the course of the program we'll talk more about the impact or the effect of the Independence Stadium on our football in the program. So that would have been a great game. And like you said, of course, it's going to be a hostile environment for them, especially with events of recent between the two countries when it comes to African football. So, but it's rather unfortunate the game wouldn't be played here.
Absolutely, yes, that's another huge missed opportunity. Yeah. But again, the other positive that we can talk about, I've always been an advocate to inject young players into the team. Sometimes, even if you bring them, they play friendlies, and then for real game situations, competitive games, you put them on the bench, let them see how it is done at the international stage, and also when it's done at the competitive level. And we've seen a lot of that. Mahmoudou Bajo, Alhaji Sen in the heart of the defense, and then you talk about players like Adama Bojang, Andres Seni Sanyang. Now from the under-20, they're almost like core of this national team.
Yeah, I believe the modern game now is becoming a game of how should I say it, younger players. Even if you look at world football now, the best players we are talking about, are just in their teens or in their early 20s. The Lamine Yamals. You go to England, for instance, Florent Wirtz, who is just been bought for 120 something million. It's just 22 years. The Isaacs that everybody's talking about, the most expensive, is just 25. So you find out that now most of the
even Kylian Mbappe is still young.
Yes, Mbappe is still young. So Pedri,
Pedri,
everybody's talking about it as the best midfielder now. He's just in his early 20s. So, it's becoming a game for young players because, they bring in a lot of energy. And especially, for our case, these young players, it's a dream for them to play for your national team. We all know the pride that comes along with playing for your national team, especially, in our case. So when given that opportunity, they bring in that new energy into the team, and they want to make sure that they prove and make sure they cement their position in the team. And we have seen like the players you mentioned, we've seen Alhaji Sen had two very good games. His partnership with Omar Colley was very good in the last two games, and Mahmoud has also been very good. Minte, we talked about younger players. In fact, we forgot about Minte. He's just 21. You understand? So, so it's good we having young players coming into the national team.
Yes, for a player like Alhaji Sen, this is a player that you and I have watched from Nawetan level, then played first division. How do you judge to say the progress of our football when you have a player who played on the dusty and sandy pitches of the Gambia, then elevate, maybe play first division football, now playing professional and being injected into the national team? For some people, yes, because the Football Federation haven't done much in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of, okay, let's say, helping certain teams. The first division is still an amateur league. They would want to judge the football progress based on that. But having these players get into the national team from the very league that we say is amateur.
Yeah, it shows the potentials that we have in this country. Gambia is just blessed with potential, with talent in almost everything, especially in sports. You know, every sport discipline you watch, you see talents. You remember you and I were at the beach, you know, a few days back, where we saw the beach volleyball, and you saw the talents of our Gambian team, our Gambian players. You know, you go to athletics, you go to any other sporting discipline, talk less of football. So, you know, having these, you know, players, the Alhaji Sens, the Mahmoud Bajos, who a few years ago, you know, we are playing, Yankuba Minte and others, we are playing, you know, in our this very amateur league, you know, and then within a short period of time, you know, moving to Europe, and you know, you can see how easily, you know, most of them, you know, settled into Europe despite coming from an amateur league, you know, where a lot of things are lacking. But when they go to Europe, you know, easily, you know, most of them, you know, settles easily into their respective clubs, mostly because of the talent, you know, that they have. So it all boils down to the talents that we have in this country. So with the little investment, with the right things, you know, it's going to be easier. And then, you know, the development and the transitioning of these players, you know, from our league, you know, to other leagues and to the national team, in fact, would be easy, and we will see more pools of players in the ranks of Alhaji Sen, Mahmoud Bajo, Yankuba Minte, you know, getting into the national team. So to answer to your question, it shows the pool of talent that this country has, that we are, you know, we have a lot of talents in this country. It's just a matter of, you know, having the right investment in our sports.
Absolutely. Right investment is hugely important. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Gambia's first division team, Real de Banjul, now into the CAF Champions League. They're going to play the preliminaries. Their first game is tomorrow. They will be playing against Asfar Rabat, and we'll bring you details in that after the break.
Browse Bitus. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Q Money ak Orange Money ñoo lëkkaloo pour yombalal leen yónnee xaalis bàyyi ko Gambia dem ba Sénégal ak Q Money Wallet looy toog di xaar dawal léegi nga ubbi Q Money account pour nga muna door di yónnee xaalis sa xariteek sa mbokk yi jaarale ko Orange Money Sénégal léegi pour am si lu leer mun nga call Q Money customer care si 133 Q Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. This is Q Sports and I am Mamudu Kajaga. Now we're talking about the Gambian champions. 3 times in a row, Real de Banjul, they're back into African club football, the CAF Champions League, or if you like, the Total Energies CAF Champions League. The preliminary rounds, they're going to play against Asfar Rabat of Morocco. And their first leg game is going to be tomorrow in Morocco. And this is a home game for Real de Banjul. You would be surprised, how can you play your home game away? First, let's listen to this report. Real de Banjul will play their home match away against a team they should be hosting due to the unavailability of an approved stadium to host international matches in the Gambia. They are forced to play 2 matches against Asfar Rabat in 1 week, away at the same venue. Real de Banjul returned to Continental Club Championship for the first time in a decade, having won the Gambia's First Division League title 3 times in a row. They are 15th overall. The Gambian champions will play their first leg against Asfar on Saturday the 21st of September 2025 at Stade Municipal de Kenit as a home fixture before facing the same opposition on the 27th of September 2025 at the same venue. Real de Banjul Football Club first participated in the CAF Champions League in 1975 and have since competed in the tournament 9 times, playing a total of 26 matches in double-leg encounters. Their best performance in the competition occurred in 1995 when they reached the second round. In the first round, they defeated CD Travadores of Cape Verde, but were eliminated by Mbilinga FC of Gabon in the second round, when the competition was called the African Cup of Champions. The club's best winning margin has been 1-0, which they achieved in matches against several teams: St. Joseph Warriors of Liberia in 1979, CD Travadores in 1995, FC Derby of Cape Verde in 2001, and Barak Young Controllers of Liberia in 2015. Real de Banjul also lost to FUS Rabat of Morocco in 2013 on aggregate, losing 1-0 away and winning 2-1 at home. Real de Banjul have qualified from the preliminary rounds of the CAF Champions League 3 out of 4 times. They were eliminated 7 times in the first round and once in the second round. This year, they will be hoping they can improve on their previous performances in this competition. It is unlikely to be easy, as they start against a team that has won this competition once before, when in 1985 they became the first Moroccan team to be crowned Club Champions of Africa. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News. Yes, that's Real de Banjul, and a bit of history and background there, and they're playing tomorrow against Asfar. This is a Moroccan team, not one of the best, not like a FUS Rabat, not like Raja Casablanca, but again, according to history, they've won this competition previously, even though that's some 2-3 decades ago. Amazalo, Real de Banjul, Gambian champions for 3 times in a row, but now they're in a very difficult African club competition, especially facing the North Africans.
Yeah, indeed, a very, very difficult fixture for Real de Banjul. But this is the Champions League. If you want to be in the Champions League, in the League of the Champions, you have to beat the champions. As far, like we said, they might not be, as the powerful team of Raja Casablanca of today, but they are also a very formidable side in Moroccan football, even in African football. One of the dominant forces in Morocco, that is AS FAR. So first, we must commend Real de Banjul for returning to the Champions League. For that is the qualifiers, after 10 years, and it's important for the club and of course for Gambian football. Playing in the Champions League qualifiers is good. It brings that international exposure for Real de Banjul. We all know Real de Banjul, it's a household name in Gambian football, but even in African football, Real de Banjul, is now well known. So getting them, at the international stage, rubbing shoulders with some of the continent's best brings that international exposure for the club. So that is one importance for them to participate in the qualifiers, and we must commend the management, the Real de Banjul management, for working out all the modalities, because the competition has changed. It has evolved significantly. You need, to meet a lot of criteria to be able to participate in CAF competition nowadays. That includes having a certified coach with an A license, which they were able to sponsor their coach Ibrahima Jatta to have his A license. They also met a lot of other criteria to be able to get into the Champions League qualifiers. So it's a commendation to the Real de Banjul management. It shows why they are the best team in the country in terms of a lot of things. Yeah, maybe they still one title sort of Walidan, but presently, you know, they are the best team. They've just, like you said, won the title 3 times in a row, and they are 15 times champions. But apart from that, you know, the way they are structured, you know, their infrastructure, you know, is one, if not the best in this country. So it shows how, you know, they are structured, and getting back to the Champions League is definitely quite commendable for Real de Banjul, and something very good for our football.
And the same Real de Banjul had a player sold to professional level to a Moroccan side due to the player's performance against FUS Rabat in 2013. Youssoufa Ndiaye, we all remember, until of recent, you know, he was a regular in the Gambia national team at the time. This boys' football blossomed at the time. Real de Banjul played FUS Rabat away. They lost 1-0, narrow margin. And at the Independence Stadium, the return leg, in fact, Real were expected to win. They were leading 2-0 before FUS Rabat equalized. And Youssoufa Ndiaye tormented the FUS Rabat defense with his skills, with his ball control, passing, and also ability either to score or even pass some of the goals that were scored in that game. Obviously, in terms of getting your players marketable there in the African continent, especially to top teams, this is another opportunity.
Yeah, indeed. That's why I said it's important for Real de Banjul to return to the Champions League qualifiers, because one, it raised the club's profile, that international exposure, and two, it also give the players, you know, Real de Banjul have a pool of young players, and this gives them that rare opportunity to compete at the international level. And by doing that, these players would have the opportunity to showcase their skills. And imagine playing against a team like AS FAR, which is one of the biggest clubs in African football. You know, is definitely, you know, an opportunity, you know, for these players to go out there, you know, play without any other pressure, because the good thing about this is that Real are going as the underdogs. So they go in there, yes, they will fight tooth and nail to ensure that they get the results, and yeah, make sure they come back with the results. But again, they are not under a lot of pressure because they are playing against a team that is the favorites between the two teams. So it will be an opportunity for these players to go there, enjoy themselves, showcase their skills, and like we said, you know, people will be watching. Clubs in Morocco will be watching. It will be on TV. So, you know, imagine performing, you know, having an outstanding game against AS FAR. You know, this is an experience. This is a big team with a lot of experienced players. So if you have young players from the Gambia, from our amateur league, you know, going there, showcasing their skills at that level will, you know, raise their profiles and, you know, make them more marketable. So this is why it is important, you know, for Real de Banjul and for our football, you know, to be having our clubs, you know, playing at the international competitions, regional competitions, continental competitions, like the qualifiers. So that's why it will be very good if Real can get into the group stages of the competition, which no Gambian team, you know, has been able to do since we started, you know, going into the CAF Champions League qualifiers. We stopped at the second round.
Yeah, for most part.
Yeah, for most part. Real Brikama United with Esperance, I believe, some time ago. Sure. Yeah, you know, fortunes were very close to get into the second round against AS Satif, but they blew away a three-goal lead. I still cannot imagine how that happened.
Imagine. You would have expected them to defend.
After winning here 3-0, they went for the return leg. They lost 3-0, and it was 3-3, and they went on penalties, and the Algerians won. So we hope Real can suck and upset the Moroccans by winning in Rabat.
But the advantage of playing 2 matches at the same stadium.
Yes, so a lot of disadvantages. Real are faced with a lot of disadvantages. Number one, the draw has not been favorable. Probably if they were drawn against, let's say, probably clubs from West Africa or East Africa, would have been a more favorable draw for them. But the North Africans, they are the giants of African club football, together with clubs in South Africa and a few in Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria and Ghana. But the North Africans generally are the powerhouse of African club football. So playing against them is always a problem. So first, the draw wasn't quite favorable. But like I said, it's the Champions League. So if you are entering into it, you should always be expecting that you will come up against tougher opponents because this is the League of the Champions. So that aside, they have to play both games. Ironically, they have to play both games in Rabat. Their home game, which is on the 21st on Sunday, that's supposed to be a home game here in Banjul, supposed to be played in Banjul, but they are now forced into playing it because there is no approved facility stadium in the Gambia. So, like I said previously, we will come to the Independent Stadium issue. So that is a big disadvantage for Real de Banjul because
financially it's going to cost them a lot.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come to the financial aspect. So, we are talking of ASFAR. Their home ground is 68,700. Even though the first leg, I am made to understand through the Real de Banjul second vice president, Bakary Kejame, who was on my program the other day, that and of course Willie, that they are playing at a stadium which is 25,000.
Yes, the Stade Municipal.
Yeah, Stade Municipal, yeah, because that is the home game for Real de Banjul. So that is the stadium I believe they booked to play their home game. So imagine, if they are to play the return leg, in the Mulai Abdullah Stadium, which is 68,000, because really even told me that the Moroccan, the ASFAR fans are complaining that why should they take the match to the 25,000 seater stadium? That is the first leg, because not everybody would be able to get into that stadium. So you can imagine, so
the excitement.
Yeah, the excitement. So that's another disadvantage for Real de Banjul. Imagine if they had to play the game here in Banjul, they could get the results. They have done it previously against FUS Rabat, like we said. Fortune defeated Setif in 2021, 3-0. Yeah, here in Banjul. Brikama United defeated Esperance. At the Box Bami Stadium.
1-1 and then.
1-1, yes, and then they went to.
And Raja Casablanca 2019, 3-3.
3-3,
and then they lost the return.
So if they've played here, they stand a big chance of getting the win, and then probably go there and then negotiate for something, which might still be difficult. But imagine playing both your home game and your the return game in Rabat. It's definitely a big disadvantage. And you talked about the financial aspect. It's a huge loss, and a lot of an extra cost on Real de Banjul, because now they will be spending 10 days in Rabat. You're talking of the hotel accommodation. If at all they were supposed to play the first game here, probably, let's say, at least, the number of days they would spend in Rabat would not exceed 5 days.
5 days, yes.
Because exactly. If they have played here on Sunday, probably, let's say, Thursday, you have Air Morocco flying. Is it, I believe, Thursday night? You have Air Morocco flying. So they could have just, board Air Morocco on Thursday and then go to Rabat. So they will spend fewer days in Morocco. So you can see the cost would significantly be reduced on the Real de Banjul. And if they have played here also, the cost of tickets will generate revenue for Real de Banjul. They have missed that as well. Now, they spend more days in Rabat at a very expensive hotel, because they are staying at Ibis Hotel. Is one of the biggest hotels in one of the biggest hotel group you know, in Morocco, not even Morocco. In fact, it's a global brand. They are spending there 10 days. It's expensive. And they went with a huge delegation. I believe of more than 40 people. Yes. You know, so a lot of cost. CAF is giving $100,000 for teams participating in the qualifiers as their preparatory cost. But I believe even that, you know, it's not yet in. You know, they have to pre-finance after they come. So if you look at $100,000, that is about $7 million something. You understand? And I'm made to understand through Bakary K. Jammeh, their budget, you know, exceeds $9 million. You understand, for the game. So imagine if they were supposed to play in Banjul, probably they would not spend. In fact, they would not spend all that $9 million. Of course. You understand? They would have spent, let's say, far less than that. Yes. You know, and then they will still have some revenue. So it's a lot of disadvantage, you know, for Real de Banjul not being able to play home. Yeah, not being able to play home. So that is why, you know, it is so important, Gajaga, you know, for our government, you know, for the federation, you know, and all stakeholders, you know, to ensure that, you know, we've got, you know, the right infrastructure in our country, so that, you know, our teams will be able to play. Just look at what is happening to Real de Banjul. You know, they're losing a lot of revenue, honestly, you know, which could have been definitely avoided. Absolutely.
And from Real de Banjul, now let's look at athletics. Gambian athlete, sprinter, Aliou Diouf, competed in the Tokyo World Athletics Championship in the 100 meters. And this is his first throughout his athletics career, and he's the sole Gambian who competed at this event. Hit 3 of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan in a time of 10.60 seconds to make it past the preliminary stage of the competition. Diouf, a relatively new name at the World Championship, knew he was an underdog. While impressive, the time was several tenths of a second behind the world's fastest runners. He says his experience of competing at his first World Championship.
It was fun. It's my first World Championship, so it's the experience that I have. I learned a lot about it in the morning and now, so I hope it will help me to prepare for the Islamic Games that is coming in November, and it will help me to prepare more for the Commonwealth Games that is coming next year.
Aliou Diouf is one of 4 Gambian athletes in France under a scholarship by the Olympic Solidarity Fund and support from the Ministry of Youth and Sports of the Gambia. Despite the scholarship, which has kept Diouf and his teammates in shape over the last few years, there appears to be some challenges.
It's not really easy, and it was very difficult to prepare for this because, as you know, our Olympic scholarship is over, so we found ourselves because our ministry helped us just for 3 months. So after that 3 months, for the rest of the season, me and my coach and my team in France, we work a lot for today, and I'm so proud of my performance this year because I have the best performance in my career this season.
In the men's heat in the 100 meters for a place in the semi-finals, Aliou Diouf failed to advance as he finished 8th in heat 6 with an improved time of 10.56 seconds. However, the sprinter is encouraged by the experience on the global stage in Tokyo.
I can say that they will see me next year. That's the only thing I can say for now. Because what I learned today, it's something that is unforgettable. And I know my coach is watching me, and she will. We know what we are going to do, and we have a lot of work to do. But the world will see me next year.
The final had a surprise winner in Jamaica's Oblique Seville, who ran a personal best of 9.77 seconds to finish ahead of his compatriot Kipsane Thomas in a Jamaican 1-2, with the pre-race favorite America's Noah Lyles coming in 3rd. Leslie Tobogo of Botswana, another strong contender, was disqualified for a false start. South Africa's Akani Sembene, who finished last, did so in a time of 10.04 seconds, which showed the levels expected at the highest level. Athletics, you need to be as fast as possible to cross that line in the 100 meters. Sub 10 seconds, obviously, the ones who are counted as the top 3 or maybe top 4. Can you imagine? So Aliou Diouf is a Gambian athlete. MS Jallow, we're running out of time, but just under 1 minute. This is an athlete that you've watched previously. Now in France, he's talked about the challenges that they have. But basically, he's our sole representative in Tokyo.
Yeah, we congratulate him despite missing out on a podium finish. But the fact that he's reached the pinnacle of athletics, that is the World Championship, where the best of the best athletes converge. Or recently, the World Championship has lit up the world, with some blistering races, some scintillating races from the top athletes. So having him among that cadre of athletes is definitely promising. It shows that he has been progressing, and him being at the center in France has paid dividends, by getting him to the World Championship. And like he said, this could be a very good opportunity for him to prepare for the Islamic Games, which are coming very soon in November in Saudi Arabia. So it's good to see our athletes competing at the highest level, such as the World Athletic Championship. We wish we could have more of them there, but not only also competing, but at least trying to get us the medals. But it's good to see Aliou reaching that far after, like you said, coming through some difficult roads, but it's good seeing him, and we hope he is going to improve his timing and going into the Islamic Games and subsequent competitions as well.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Jallow.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Gajaga.
That's it for Q Sports today. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next week and keep on sporting. Bye for now.